Now, whether or not you know me, I think it's pretty clear that when it comes to video gaming, I prefer to buy my games physical rather than download them digitally. I never really felt like it was me owning the game. However, there are so many great games on the Nintendo eShop right now that don't have physical releases, and downloading them digitally is the only way that you can play them. And so, while trying my hardest not to say the word digitally again in this video, this is my list of 10 Nintendo Switch eShop games that you should buy and play because they're actually pretty fun. Oh look, another Nintendo Switch video, shut up. So I guess since Might Gunvolt Burst is already up on my Switch, let's talk about that one first. So Might Gunvolt is a mix of two games, Gunvolt and Mighty Number 9. Now the best way to describe this game is imagine Mighty Number 9 but way better. In fact, actually good. In fact, actually great. The Mighty Number 9 that we all wanted. The Mega Man game that we all wanted. This game is incredibly fun. So fun, in fact, that I almost made an entire video just about this game, and I was gonna call it a future hidden gem because seriously, I feel like so many people would look at this game and see Mighty Number 9 attached to it and decide not to play it. It's way better than you could possibly imagine. It harkens back to Mega Man on the NES, and honestly, if you loved Mega Man on the NES, I dare you to not fall in love with this game. It brings a ton of extra features to the Mega Man style of gameplay, such as challenges, weapon building and customizing, upgrading, and something called burst kills, where if you get close enough to an enemy and kill it, you will get a burst kill, which will add to a point multiplier, and you gotta try and string as many of these burst kills together as possible. And it does get frustrating because so many of the enemies you don't want to get close to, but you feel that you have to. It really helps to step up the intense gameplay and keep things moving and flowing a little bit faster than older Mega Mans. The weapon customization is really cool too, and you could spend a lot of time just in that. The music in this game is absolutely on point. You get to play as either Beck or as Gunvolt, so that adds some variety. Even though they play pretty much the same, it's something extra. The biggest selling point of this game is the controls and the gameplay and the way it handles and how tight it is. Maybe my favorite game on this list. Next up, we have a game called Mr. Shifty, and if you love just, for lack of a better word, shit up, this is the game for you. You go around every level just destroying enemies, punching the crap out of them, out of walls, out of doors, throwing them out of windows. It's just so much destruction and you feel really cool doing it. You can teleport a little bit, just like a short distance, and you can really string together teleporting and punching, teleporting, breaking down a door, teleporting, throwing someone out a window. It can be a lot of fun, and it's a one hit you die kind of situation, which leads to a lot of intensity, especially when there's a lot of enemies around you. You're trying to fly around them and punch them before you get hit. You can even build up a bar that unlocks a bullet time type effect that doesn't last for nearly enough, but is also really cool to run around in slow motion punching guys in the face. All up, this game is really fun. It's kind of a short game, but definitely worth its price, and you can play it again and again and again, and it's always gonna be fun. So I recommend Mr. Shifty. Next up, we have a game called Bulb Boy. Now this game is another short game, but again, if you watch this channel, you know that I love point and clicks, and I would love to put a point and click on every list of video games that I ever do ever, and this is a great chance to actually do it because this one is a lot of fun. It's really weird and freaky, and the graphical style will almost make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. The way it's all in green, kind of dark, just the way the things look. It's a really eerie and creepy setting, but so much fun to play. You go around in classic point and click style trying to solve puzzles, and these are puzzles that you really don't want to mess up because when you do, you get eaten and attacked and destroyed by these really gruesome looking creatures that you really want to stay away from. This is a short game, so there isn't a ton of replayability, so going into this one, you need to know that it's probably going to be a one and done situation like most point and clicks end up being, unless you fall in love with them like Maniac Mansion. I can never put them down. But with it being a point and click, with it being as fun as it is and as creepy as it is and as freaky as it is, I definitely wanted to recommend it and put it on this list. It's an experience and one that hopefully you will enjoy like I did. Next up, we have a game called Implosion, and I was hesitant to put it on the list purely because, like a lot of the games on this list actually, and a lot of the games on the Nintendo eShop, it's a mobile game port. It used to be on iOS and mobiles, and you can really tell by looking at it, it has that mobile game feel. If any of you have ever tried downloading an action adventure type mobile game, so many of them have that same graphical style. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can kind of tell by looking at it, this is a mobile game. And that initially was enough to throw me off, but it's definitely a case of don't judge a book by its cover. There's a reason why it got ported over to the Switch, and it's because it's a lot of fun. It's a hack and slash style game that's just a lot of mindless fun to go through each one of these levels and just hack, slash and destroy your enemies. The boss fights are definitely the cherry on top. Probably the best part of the game is the really fun and awesome boss fights. And one advantage of buying it on the Switch rather than playing it on the mobile is the mobile was obviously free, but you had to sink a lot of money into all the upgrades and all the extra content, because that's how mobile games make their money most of the time. But this, 12 bucks, you get everything, and there's honestly a lot of content. If you enjoy the game, you get everything up front, and there's a lot of content worth your money. So I recommend Implosion. It's more fun than it looks. Next, we have a game called Snake Pass, and this is probably one of the most popular games on the list. As far as I'm aware, this one had the most marketing behind it, the most attraction to it, and it got that in a big way because of its Banjo-Kazooie type N64 style. Obviously, being on the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo platform, it was going to do well and get a lot of promotion behind it, because it does harken back to that N64 era, the way it looks, the way it feels, the way it plays. It's a collectathon type game, so you go around collecting a bunch of different orbs. But the best part about this game, other than how pretty it is, the way you play, it's really unique. It's honestly something that's very unique and very different. You play as a snake, but you don't just play as a snake and you kind of like press up to move and all that kind of basic, gameplay that you had in the 64 days, or even nowadays with a lot of games. They've actually built it so you need to think and move and play like you are a snake. So when you move, if you want to actually move with any kind of traction, with any kind of speed to you, you need to slither. You need to actually use the toggle to slither, but it only gets increasingly difficult and more challenging from there. When you're climbing up objects, you really need to wrap yourself around them in a way that if you were an actual snake trying to get up this structure, you would need to build a solid foundation, a solid base around your tail or around your mid-body, so the rest of you could reach out and grab the next bit and keep going. You can't just slide straight up something. It's not that kind of game. You really need to think like a snake. There's a lot to this game when it comes to controlling. It can be a little frustrating at times, but when you get good at it, it feels pretty rewarding. Honestly, when it comes to this entire list of games, Mighty Gunvolt and Snake Pass are my two favorites and the ones that I spent the most amount of time in. Next up, we have a game called Goner, and if you're a fan of games like Super Meat Boy or Binding of Isaac, this game's definitely going to be up your alley. It has a really unique art style, one that I haven't really seen anything quite like it before. It's definitely trippy and interesting. It's a really hard game. You're probably going to die a lot. Like I said, it's kind of like Meat Boy in the way that it plays a little bit, but kind of more similar to Binding of Isaac when it comes to the fact that it's randomized every time. So that, plus all the different weapons and upgrades, definitely adds to the game's replayability and its overall worth. Fun little game. Definitely recommend. The most recent addition on this list to the eShop is the Namco Museum. I did go back and forth on putting this game on the list because I feel like 30 might be a bit much. I feel like 20 is definitely going to be the sweet spot for this game. I ended up deciding to put it on the list for a couple of reasons. One, Splatterhouse. Splatterhouse is such a fun game, and having that on the Switch on the go is really fun. Plus, the entire collection utilizes the HD rumble, and in a game like Splatterhouse, when you attack, when you throw your weapon, you actually feel that in the controller in the HD rumble kind of way that feels a little different, and they kind of integrated that into every game. So to play a lot of these games for the first time with a rumble, but also a HD rumble, which means it's a little bit different, they do a little bit crazier things with it. It's very interesting and definitely adds to the game's worth. A different experience for those of us that grow up with arcade games or just play arcade games but have never had a rumble. It's not a huge deal for a lot of people, I know, but it definitely adds something interesting. So on this list you have Dig Dug Galaga, Galaga 88, Pac-Man, Pac-Man Versus, Rolling Thunder 1 and 2, and Sky Kid, and then Splatterhouse, like I said, Tank Force, and Tower of Drugger. The other games I really enjoy on this list is Sky Kid and Rolling Thunder 1 and 2. Rolling Thunder is actually a really fun game that I recommend checking out. Plus, every game on this list has really cool borders they've made for the games around while you play, and Rolling Thunder arguably has the best border for reasons I won't say. But yeah, as I said, maybe 20 bucks would be a little bit better for these games. But hey, a lot of people out there are going to deem it worth it for 30 bucks. You get 8, 10-ish games. I didn't count them. But 20 would be better. Fun though, Splatterhouse. You can't say no to Splatterhouse. This next game might be the best value for money on the list, and that is Kamiko. Even though it's a short game, it's a great game. It'll remind you of Legend of Zelda on the NES in so many ways, and definitely, obviously, the art style being the main way, but the gameplay is definitely very different to Zelda. It has a really great little story to it. It's just a lot of fun. It'll probably be one of the most fun games you spend $5 on. Again, even though it's short, about 5 hours long, you can't say no to $5. It's a great looking game and it's really fun to play. It's a little easy, but $5 is $5. Next we have Graceful Explosion Machine, an arcade style shooter. In this game, it's all about the score. You have super intense, fast gameplay with really pretty visuals. The game controls really well, really nice. It's just super easy to pick up and play. It is a short game, but the whole point of games like this is to play them again and again and again and again and get a better score. So if you're a score junkie, a score adrenaline junkie, this is the game for you. I've saved one of the coolest and most interesting games for last because that's what you're supposed to do, right? We have Oceanhorn taking the final place on this list. This game is pretty much a dumbed down Wind Waker clone, but don't take that the wrong way. It's really fun, and it's obviously on this list because I recommend playing it. Much like Wind Waker, we have dungeons, puzzles, enemies. You walk around throwing your sword and your shield and your bombs. Yeah, it's very much like Wind Waker. It even has that same kind of graphical style to it. This was another mobile game released in 2013, so it's a few years since then at this point, but it still looks pretty great. And it is an 8 to 10 hour game, which ain't bad for a mobile downloadable title on the Nintendo Switch. Again, it's really fun, really pretty to look at. The only thing that I have an issue with, what's the funnest part about Wind Waker? It's sailing around the oceans and exploring, right? Well, the only letdown in this game is that when you go ocean to ocean, it's on a linear path and you can't control the boat. There is mini games you have along the way, like shooting and stuff like that, but that is definitely the best part of Wind Waker, and it's kind of cut out of this one. However, the game is really, really, really fun and still worth picking up. If you've never played Wind Waker, or you have, just pretend like you didn't know how fun that was, and just imagine everything else, and it's still a really fun game worth picking up. I recommend it, I really do. But it definitely was a letdown that I wanted to get you guys prepared for because I was let down. And that's my list of Nintendo Switch games on the eShop worth picking up. Again, I wanted to do this because if you're like me, maybe you don't like buying digital games, maybe you're really against it. Also, I didn't see anyone else online covering any of these eShop games. Like, almost no one.
Hold on a second, tap the freaking brakes. Nintendo Switch related content is my cup of tea.
Okay, maybe you were doing some of them, Eric. You know, maybe, I don't know, maybe one or two here and there.
You're stealing all of my ideas, Wood. It's time to cut it, all right? The buck stops here. The gravy train is over.
Okay, Eric, sure, maybe this is your territory. Maybe you do have a right to come up here in my video and tell me what's up. And maybe I have a right in my video to tell people what happened at Retropalooza last year in the hotel room that Saturday night.
See, I knew you would come around, Wood. I mean, I love you, and I enjoy all our special moments together when we go out on our dates, and you treat me at the diner and stuff. But still, Nintendo Switch stuff is my territory. Son of a bitch.
Oh, I'm a stupid bitch, Eric? Well, at least I can pronounce pale ale.
What's there in the back seat? What is that?
That's what, Wood got.
No, the drinks.
Pale ale.
You want some?
What is it?
The 8-bit pale ale.
One of them's for you anyway, I'm pretty sure.
What is it? It's beer.
It's beer.
Pale f***ing ale.
Pale ale. God damn.
Sorry, it's not Bud Light. It's another version of Bud Light.
I didn't hear what you said.
What the f*** do you think pale ale means? Stupid bitch.
All kidding aside, Eric does have a really good channel, and he's covered every single one of the games on this list in a more in-depth video separately. I couldn't do that in a big list. I didn't have time. It'd be a 40-minute video. So if you're interested in any of these games and want to learn more, check out Eric's channel in the description below.
If you want to see nearly all the Nintendo Switch games reviewed better than what Wood did, check my channel out. Nah, I'm just joking. I love Wood, and he can do all the Switch videos he wants, but he better come home with the money, if you know what I'm talking about, or else he's going to be washing the dishes and sleeping in the doghouse.
But guys, that is all for me in this video. What do you think of the games on this list? Are you going to pick any of them up? Let me know down below. Are there any hidden gems Nintendo Switch eShop that I missed? Let me know that down below. Maybe I'll buy them digitally for a change instead of physical. I always like to wait and see and feel it out and see if a physical release is coming or if I'm just going to be stuck with the digital before I buy it. But let me know down below if you have any good ones. Hit this video with a like because I super appreciate it. Subscribe to my channel because we become best friends and you know that I love it. And if I can leave you with one piece of information today, one little nugget of truth before I move on to the next video, and I'll see you in that one. That is that Eric's a little bitch.
Ew.
No! No! Why do you keep doing that? It's two words.
Pale.
Your mom
Pale.
sucks. I want to say that I have a really strong stomach, and I haven't thrown up in a long time. That was the closest I've come to throwing up. That was one of the grossest things I've ever seen. Hey, how much would it cost you to suck my foot?